Hi, podcast listeners. Welcome to the A World of Difference podcast. We have so many guests on this show making a difference in our lives, making a difference all around the world with the expertise that they bring. And yet, so many of you are reaching out to me saying, you want more. It's not enough just what we're putting on these podcast episodes for you. And so I am here to extend a very warm welcome to you to our Difference Maker community, where you can join for as little as $5 a month to get all this extra content. Out the gate, you're going to get 30 plus minisodes of exclusive content not available for the regular podcast listeners, and an exclusive minisode every month. And you'll get exclusive voting power to help us pick podcast topics and more. And that's at our Changers tier. There's 3 different main tiers and then an extra larger tier. But whatever tier that you join at, you will be included in this extra content. And I know that many of you are wanting to go a little bit deeper. And so even though it gets a little wild in there sometimes because of how deep we go, I want you to join us there. This extra content is very special. It means a great deal to me to be a part of this community with you. And I would love to just exchange ideas or perspectives that you have around these different episodes. And that's the place where we do it. So please show up to our Difference Maker community. Give us $5 out of your pocket every month. And I think that you'll have a lot of fun in there because we do. And I would love for you to join us. So go to patreon.com/a world of difference to join us there. Welcome to the A World of Difference podcast. I'm Lori Adams Brown, and this is a podcast for those who are different and want to make a difference. Today we're doing something a little bit differently. I did a live stream on LinkedIn this week about getting out of our comfort zone. So we're going to play that as the episode this week. If you missed it, you can check it out on LinkedIn. But I know that many of you are wanting to be brave and cross cultures, or you're wanting to be more inclusive of other people's voices, or you're wanting to just build your own career and gain new skills. And all of these really lend themselves to being more open to getting out of our comfort zone. So I really hope you enjoy this episode and let me know what you think. Hello, everyone on LinkedIn. We are going live with the A World of Difference podcast today. Thank you for joining us. Today, for the A World of Difference podcast, we're going to be talking about how to get out of our comfort zones. So if you are in a comfortable place, or you are really excited and risk-taking and just ready to get out of your comfort zone and live outside of your comfort zone, either way, this podcast is going to have something for all of us to learn. Before we begin, though, I want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. We have some really exciting ones coming up. This week, we're going to have Earth Day. We have some different authors. We're going to be talking about why toxic masculinity is not okay by an author of a new book that's coming out. We're going to be exploring all kinds of topics and have some academics and scholars and people who are making a difference around the world on some upcoming episodes. If you enjoy listening to the World of Difference podcast, please leave us a review to help us reach more listeners all around the world. We have so many voices and perspectives that we want to hear from and want to join together to collaborate in this effort of us all around the world. So please leave us a review. It helps more people find us. Now let's dive in. My question is, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were outside of your comfort zone? I think most of us have, whether it's getting on a roller coaster for the first time. This is on my brain right now because my family just got back from Universal Studios this weekend. We live here in California in Silicon Valley, but our 3 teenagers and my husband and I had never been to Universal Studios here in Hollywood. We've been to the one in Singapore many times because we lived there for 10 years and we had annual passes. But we've never been to the actual Universal Studios, where you get to go to the actual studios where movies are made. And it's a lot of fun if you haven't done it. My boys especially enjoyed the new Nintendo World. We got reservations at Toadstool Cafe, which are really hard to get, and of course, Harry Potter World. It was a lot of fun. But if you're the kind of person who doesn't like roller coasters, that would not be me or anyone in my family. We love roller coasters. But if that's outside of your comfort zone, maybe that's the kind of situation you're thinking about today, as we talk about being outside your comfort zone. Or maybe it's crossing into another culture, whether it's in the place where you live, going into an area of town where people eat different food, or speak a different language or have very different ways of living, or it's actually the really hard thing for some of us. That's just getting on a plane and going across the world. That was not hard for me. My parents raised me in another country from where our passports were. I went to international school and I met people from all over the world growing up. But I know that for some people, crossing cultures can be a little bit tricky. Going outside of my comfort zone would be probably sitting with a bunch of women learning to do crafts or knitting or sewing or something of that nature. I don't know what it is about that, but that's just really outside of my comfort zone. I'm not good at that. I don't enjoy it. I find it really just awful. I'm just going to be honest. Or maybe it's for you meeting someone from a different background at work or in your neighborhood. At the A World of Difference podcast, we are all about diversity. You know this about us, but we're also about inclusion of other people's voices into our lives that help us be more understanding, more empathetic, and more collaborative as we come together around the world to make a difference. We don't all have all the perspectives in our brains. We need other people's perspectives speaking into us. So let's think about a moment. Maybe you were traveling to a new country, attending a cultural event, or just meeting somebody from a different background. And how did you feel? And where did you feel that in your body? Did you feel something like, ooh, just butterflies in your stomach? Did you feel overwhelmed in your brain? Did you feel um, that your kind of legs were shaky and you were just nervous? Where did you feel that in your body? And for many of us, being in an unfamiliar territory can be intimidating, even scary. Um, we tend to gravitate towards what's familiar. This is human nature. My undergrad is in sociology. We studied this quite a bit when I was in college, and this is something that has not changed over time for us humans. We want to be with people who are like us, that feels comfortable in our bodies, our brains, and our thoughts, and just the way we live and move in the world. I mean, look at your average middle school cafeteria in the United States. People tend to sit by the people that are like them. But we miss out on beautiful experiences when we only are around people who look and act and think like us. So, what if I told you that stepping out of your comfort zone can lead to personal growth and a greater understanding of the world around us, and can even help you in your career to bring more aspects of yourself into your leadership, into your skill set, because you have opened up your brain and your mind and your body to new experiences? One way to expand your horizons is by immersing yourself in different cultures. And this can be through travel, it could be attending a cultural event, or just by talking to people from different backgrounds and exposing ourselves to different ways of human life. And by doing this, we can gain a better appreciation for the diversity of human experience, and it helps us understand our own humanity differently. And this is the part people often miss. It's not just that you're saying, I'm going to give you the pleasure of speaking into my life if I am so generous as to give you my time. No, no. I mean, yes, let's be generous with our time, but also we change in the process of learning from other people. We become better versions of ourselves when we expose ourselves and open ourselves up in vulnerability in our minds to change of how we might learn from someone else. But it's not just about gaining knowledge. It really isn't. Stepping out of our comfort zones can also help us develop important skills, such as being adaptable, being empathetic. We all know that empathetic leaders are the best kinds of leaders. We perform better, we trust more on our teams when our leaders are empathetic. And if you wanted to grow in your leadership and all of your career, this is something that you can really add to your skill set is being empathetic. And it helps in our communication. The company I work in, we're always working to get better on cross cultural communication. We're a global company. How we communicate really varies depending on whether we're a low or high context culture. Are we expecting people on our team to read the air, or are we being more direct? Americans in general are very direct, and Japanese friends of ours are much more read the air. And there's everybody in the world is somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, every other country. So, how we communicate really matters, but when we get around people who communicate differently, it helps us understand how to communicate more cross culturally. So it's not just about gaining knowledge, it's about stepping out of our comfort zone and developing these new skills, learning to be flexible and handling changes that come our way and challenges in ways that we're better able to not just cope with, but to embrace and learn from and overcome those obstacles and move forward. So, of course, it's not always easy, though, to step outside of our comfort zones. I wonder if any of you would put in the comments a moment where you tried to step outside your comfort zone and it was just really, really hard. I'd love to hear from that. I'd love to interact with you on the chat about this. But one way, like I said, to do this is to immerse yourself in another culture. So I'd really love to know if any of you have ever traveled to another culture, especially if you've been an expat and lived in another culture like I did in Asia for 20 years. I spent 10 years in Indonesia and 20, and I'm sorry, 10 in Singapore, 20 total in Asia. But I would love to hear more about any of you who've crossed cultures for work, for maybe volunteering for a summer or a couple of weeks, and what that was like for you to come into another culture. Um, yes, it's not always easy to step outside of our comfort zones because the fear of the unknown can really hold us back, and it can be difficult to even know where to start sometimes. But the good news is there are resources available to help us. So one way I recommend is to start seeking out organizations or communities that celebrate diversity. We here at the World of Difference podcast, that's what we love to do is celebrate diversity and be very inclusive of voices around us, seeking actually new voices to speak into our lives. This can be a great way to connect with other people who are also interested in learning about other cultures and who are just sort of dipping their toe into this vast ocean of what that means. So you're in the right place if you're listening to the World of Difference podcast. Another way to step out of your comfort zone is by taking classes or workshops that teach you about different cultures, whether it's at your local community college, whether it's an online course, um, watching documentaries. There's all kinds of resources. You could go to your local library and ask your librarian to help you out. It could be anything from language classes, Duolingo. I have a great friend here in Silicon Valley that was leading their marketing at Duolingo for a long time, and it's a great company, great app. I myself have used it to brush up on my Arabic when I was headed to Abu Dhabi recently on Qatar Airlines. But my kids have used it to work on their, learning Korean or brushing up on Japanese. It's just a great app, Duolingo. Highly recommend it. And no, they don't sponsor the podcast, but if you are from Duolingo and you're looking for a place to advertise, we'd love to help you out here at the World of Difference podcast. This is just for free though for now. Duolingo is a great app if you're wanting to learn another language. But also it could be just taking cooking classes. I do not like to cook. This is not a secret, but I love to eat food from around the world. So if you're near me and you're taking a cooking class, please invite me over. But it could be anything from language classes to cooking classes to dance classes. I grew up in Latin America dancing salsa and merengue, but I lived in Asia for a long time. And when I saw the dances they did, it was in northern Sumatra where we lived in Aceh province, they did a lot of body percussion where they would hit their body in different ways. And it was so cool and so beautiful. Cultures around the world dance so differently, and we can learn a lot about culture by just learning to dance. Another way to step out of your comfort zone is just to attend festivals in your area. So here in Silicon Valley, we're really blessed. All the major religions have different festivals that happen here. We have cultures from South Asia that have, Indian festivals. We have Chinese cultures like Taiwan and mainland China, people from Hong Kong, Singaporeans who are Chinese Singaporean. So there's always, Chinese New Year celebrations of all kinds. We have a lot of Latino cultures here in Silicon Valley that celebrate all types of different holidays and have festivals and food. It's just take your pick. So if you live in an area where that doesn't exist, please come to the Bay Area, look up our festivals and attend some of them. We have so many to choose from. And it helps you gain a deeper understanding of values and traditions from another part of the world. And it takes you out of your own sort of structured environment and helps you learn to be adaptable. Ultimately, I just want to say that stepping out of our comfort zones requires a willingness to be vulnerable. This is not easy for me, it's not easy for most of us. But I have learned in my experience that being vulnerable and taking that risk, taking that leap of faith with someone and trusting that it's going to be okay, can help us to learn and grow. And that's been part of my experience. It helps us to embrace the unknown, develop new friendships, develop new ways of thinking and living and being in the world and making a difference. The rewards can be significant. I have made some of my best friends in all different countries around the world by being vulnerable in this way. And it helps us to be more open minded and just better at deep friendships in general. We gain a better understanding of the world around us as we develop a greater appreciation for the diversity of the human experience. So, if you're feeling stuck in your comfort zone, take a deep breath in and out and try something new. You never know what you might discover. I'd love to hear the new thing that you're trying, how that change is benefiting you, and maybe what you're afraid to be vulnerable of. And hopefully, we can all encourage one another to take that risk, be vulnerable, step out of our comfort zone, and who knows what'll happen? We just don't know until we try. So thank you for listening to the A World of Difference podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode, once again, please leave us a review and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We have some really exciting ones coming up. And as always, keep an open mind and embrace the differences that make our world a more interesting and vibrant place. Bye, everyone. Keep making a difference wherever you are. As we're finishing this episode, if you're thinking, I really wish I could learn more or go a little bit deeper. Well, that's what our Difference Maker community is for. I would love to welcome you in to join the rest of us there. Once again, it's only $5 a month to join, the price of a latte at your local coffee shop. You can join at our Changers tier. Difference Makers is a community that really means so much to me. It's very special because each time I have a guest on the show, I record something outside of what we give to just the regular podcast audience, where we go a little bit deeper. And then I post those video episodes in this community and we can discuss them. But also at the very beginning tier, which is our Changers tier of this community, you'll get exclusive voting power and help pick podcast topics that give us, more of what we want from your perspective. You'll have access to exclusive 30 plus mini-sodes that aren't out there for the general public. And you'll get every month an exclusive monthly bonus mini-sode. At our Groundbreakers level, which is $10 a month, you can join and get all of that, but also priority access to submit questions to the podcast. And you'll get an additional 2 exclusive monthly bonus mini-sodes. And at our Trailblazers tier, which is $15 a month, the price of 3 lattes a month, you can get all of that, plus also 3 exclusive monthly bonus minisodes and a patron shout out. So I would love for you to join us at any of those tiers. It'll help you come into this community, be in the midst of all of us, other difference makers, and we'd love to hear your perspective. I certainly would. It's a place to engage more with me and the audience around what you like, what you're resonating with, and once again, go deeper with each of our guests. So please join us in this membership community. I would love to hear your perspective and love to share this extra content with you. So show up at patreon.com/a world of difference.
You know how to book flights and hotels. All you're missing is a tool to plan the travel experiences you'll have once you arrive. That's why you need Viator. Book guided tours, excursions, and more in one place. There are over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from, so you can find something for everyone. And Viator offers free cancellation and 24/7 customer support for worry-free travel. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator.